let's talk to Melissa. She, her, calling in from Texas. Melissa, she says is Jewish and would like to talk about the U.S. being a Christian nation. Hi, Melissa.
Hey there. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Hi, good to hear from you.
Yeah, so I am Jewish, and I live obviously in Texas, which is kind of a deeply Christian area. But I do believe that America is a Christian nation, not by design, but rather by behavior, as in Christian is as Christian does. Try getting a passport on Christmas Day. You can't do it because government mandates that offices are closed that day. If that's not a Christian country, I don't know what is. I have to use vacation time to be off on Yom Kippur, but I get Christmas off. That's a Christian nation.
Interesting.
That's
yeah. So you're kind of saying that, like, functionally, the U.S. acts like a Christian nation, and maybe obviously leans towards there is some kind of favoritism on a specific religion as far as holidays and that sort of thing goes. And so I can see where you're coming from. I'm not American, so I will leave more of this kind of, I'll leave Scott to respond to that more. I think obviously, like, we know, like, that the Constitution was, like, made, it's a secular kind of constitution, and there was that separation of religion and state. But I do understand what you're saying, that it's more of this functional aspect, and that if you were to look at it from any other angle, from the day-to-day lives, that it functions very much like a Christian nation. That's kind of what you're saying?
Exactly. You got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
What do you think, Scott?
Is this Melissa from my YouTube channel, by chance?
It is. It's me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. All right. So I totally agree. I think obviously there are some other holidays I know that we have, but primarily the biggest thing for me is that Christmas. Obviously, it's not like we celebrate Jesus Christmas, but it's still the same thing. And basically, the whole world changes. The whole country changes for Christmas. That's a big thing. But also, those things are problematic. But what's more problematic for me is it's hard because the First Amendment doesn't stop anyone who's obviously doesn't stop anyone who's any religion going into public office and sharing their ideas through policy. And that's where, like, the biggest things happen. Like with the under God in the Pledge of Allegiance was Eisenhower put that in there. So the Pledge of Allegiance was originally written by some guy who forget his name. No, wait.
But it was like a kind of a reactionary thing, right? Like,
hold on, I might be wrong. I apologize if I'm wrong, but it might not be the Pledge of Allegiance. Wait, yeah, Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, Pledge of Allegiance did not have under God, and it was written by a guy who was actually a Christian, and he was a socialist Christian. But not that if that matters or not, but he was against the separation of church and state, and he wrote the Pledge of Allegiance. But then Dwight Eisenhower, who was a really good friend with Billy Graham, put under God into the Pledge of Allegiance. And that's the scariest thing too, is how many, if you just Google President Billy Graham has met with when he was alive, he met with every single president. Even Obama had met with him. Even Democratic presidents met with him, not just conservative presidents. So there's like it's not even just Christian, it's the evangelicalism that I'm scared of, because it's the fundamentalist evangelicalism, I guess. Because they have such an influence in the politics. So, yeah.
My impression coming from somebody who's not an American is that it's also, like, because maybe that there isn't like an actual stated law or like way to enforce that you have to be a Christian to run for office in any of the states. But it seems to me like it's a cultural thing that if you don't hold that position, that you're much less likely to be voted for. And I think that might even be something. I don't actually know so much the religious position of a lot of the politicians in Canada, but I think that is part of the platform that seems to be put forward with American elections. Am I getting that right, or is that?
I think that the fact that every president has at least posited some sort of religious view, regardless of if it's actually authentic or not. They've at least suggested that they are.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, well, any of them. I mean, honestly, I don't believe any of them are the kind of Christians that we would know, right? They're not talking about saving sex for marriage and, that type of stuff. But those people vote for those guys because, and that's why it was a big thing when Obama ran, when there was a conspiracy theory that he was a Muslim, which I'm like, well, if he's a Christian or a Muslim, I don't care. Like, it's equally, you should not be using your religion regardless.
It's kind of a red herring, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't really have anything to do with their policies or their platform that they're putting forward.
Exactly.
But it seems to become such a hot button issue, like where they stand. And now it seems like they have to be the right type of Christian too. So, because I know like your current president isn't an evangelical Christian. And so a lot of people will denounce him as being not a Christian at all.
Oh yeah, the great Catholic versus evangelical debate. It's my
Melissa,
favorite.
My question for you would be like, obviously it's kind of unfair, and it seems like there's a favoritism put forward. As somebody who practices or is part of the Jewish faith, would you prefer, if you could fix it or make it better, would you prefer that they kind of added to stuff that's maybe some of the Jewish holidays, or just take that away? Or like, what would you see as something moving forward towards more of a actual separation? Or would you change it?
Yeah, wow. I don't ever want to be part of a movement that imposes my practices on anyone else. So I would not be in favor of saying shut everything down because it's Yom Kippur.
Right.
But I do think that it needs to be maybe mandated that it be an option, that I can take that holiday and not have to use my PTO.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, being to remove the discrimination from people who do want to practice their religious holidays that are not Christian. I think that is something that I think that's a good point, that it shouldn't be penalized because you've practiced a different faith than Christianity. Also, my thought is, like, I know a lot of our kind of Christian holidays that are celebrated are kind of almost more of a cultural thing. I mean, you could definitely celebrate. I'm an atheist, but we celebrate Christmas. It's easily become a cultural thing in our house, with all of like the Santa Claus and that whole everything else that goes around Christmas besides just the religious aspect of it. But I think that you get a lot of pushback from that when you try to, take the Christ out of Christmas, like calling it winter breaks and calling it, just winter, whatever, family days or whatever. I see that being kind of something that would be really hard to move forward with, to try to maybe I don't even know if there's a word for that, but make it less religious, but more of just a kind of Western cultural thing that we do. But I don't know, now I'm just kind of brainstorming how we can make it better.
I think that, those people that we are talking about, they're always going to be unhappy about something unless they get exactly what they want all the time. They will not compromise. We're always the ones who have to compromise.
Yeah, it seems to be that way too. It seems to be even when they do get kind of their way, that they'll just pick the next button, the next issue that they'll push back on. Is frustrating, I think.
That's the dangers of it too.
Yeah.
Is that they expect, just they want, and it's crazy because when I was in church, most people would, say like, oh, we shouldn't interfere with politics, like pray for the president, but that's it. I didn't deal with Christian nationalist type people. So to me, it's just kind of a weird thing, because biblically speaking, it doesn't really make any sense from what I understand. So, but I guess you can make it say whatever you want. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for calling in, Melissa. And I appreciate your input on that. And I think I think I agree with you in a lot of ways, that it's very functionally Christian, but maybe not very technically. So. Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to take one more second of your time and tell everybody Happy Jesus Day. And our previous governor declared June 10th as Jesus Day. So I hope everybody is celebrating appropriately.
Oh man.
I've never heard of it before. But yeah, I think we're celebrating appropriately. Let's talk about Jesus existed or not. I don't know. Is that appropriate?
All right.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Why not? Yeah, anytime. Bye. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Happy Jesus Day, hey?
I think that's Juneteenth.
Oh, geez. So that's like literally trying to take over a holiday from like Black culture.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Awful. I am constantly surprised by just how far all of this is going, getting taken out of hand.
Well, like everything, it seems like everything is just like is an attack on them when nobody cares. Like no one, just like conservatives are supposed to be the ones that are limited government and everyone can do whatever they want. That's what it's supposed to be. But they just want to it's just like this regulation. But I don't want to talk about politics, so I'm done.
It's hard not to. It's hard. Yep. I know.